I'm State Representative Lynn Slaby from the 41st House District. Before becoming a state legislator this year, I was a retired judge from the 9th District Court of Appeals. I was required to retire because of the state constitution says that I could not take office after the age of 70, and I would have turned 70 at the date of my last election, and therefore I was not going to be able to take office for another term. Before I became judge on the 9th District Court of Appeals, I was Summit County prosecuting attorney. There are several reasons why I voted for House Joint Resolution 1, which now is issue 1 on the ballot. The reason I voted for House Joint Resolution 1, first of all, was that we have not looked at and examined the age of judiciary since 1973. Notwithstanding the fact that we have in the state of Ohio and across the nation seen an increase in the health of judges, not only the judiciary, but the health of individuals after the age of 70, taking a very active life, either personally or professionally. In order to continue the continuity of judiciary or a judgeship from an earlier age, because many judges don't even begin to take office until they're in their 50s, and sometimes even into the 60s. In order to continue their service to the community and to the court and to the justice system, I believe that it would behoove us to increase the age from 70 to 75. The second reason I support House Joint Resolution 1 in the House of Representatives was that I understand and I knew that attorneys for long periods of time have been able to receive confidential help if in fact they needed it because over caseloads or because of alcohol or drug addiction or abuse or emotional issues that might have arose in their personal lives, in their personal families, or for other issues. It's all done confidentially through the state organization. This service is now available to the judiciary. In the years past, attorneys were afraid to address the issue of a judge becoming maybe not quite incompetent, but turning on them individually or turning on issues in the courtroom that they had to practice in. They're concerned of the consequences of possibly reporting the judge and the information getting back to that judge that they had reported to the judge for some incompetency. However, now because of the same services that have been available to attorneys throughout the state of Ohio, judges can be referred to a state association which will do a confidential investigation, never disclosing where the information came from. It could have come from local individuals as well as attorneys or individuals within the community, or it could come from anywhere in the state of Ohio, even a state association that judges participate in, and see a change or a possible change in an individual judge as far as his emotional stability is concerned. Therefore, since we do have longer lives, more healthy, active lives, both in our personal and professional situations, as well as additional services that are provided for and available to judges who find themselves in a difficult position, whether or not they're in their early 40s, 50s, or 60s, as well as in their 70s. These services are now available that were not available in 1973 to consider when that age limit was passed. The other issue that I think that we should look at is why prosecutors may be opposed to this issue. I was a Summit County prosecuting attorney, and many of my assistant prosecutors have gone on to become judges. I would suggest one of the reasons that continues to exist in the association is that prosecuting attorneys that have to work in and day out in the courtroom are still somewhat skeptical of whether or not the confidentiality of reporting a judge that rules against them constantly because of a personal issue between the two or because of other things that may be taking place in the courtroom, it may not be sacred, and therefore I think that they want to protect themselves, and maybe rightly so, against any repercussions that the judge might have if in fact the judge is addressed, because it would not naturally follow that the person that's in the courtroom the most might be the one that indicated to an outside party that they needed some assistance. So I think that's a basic reason why the Prosecuting Attorneys Association might have been opposed to the issue. I believe if you look at it on an individual basis, that prosecutors who work in courtrooms with judges that are in their 70s and got elected just prior to turning 70 and working until they're 75 or longer would agree that judges in their 70s can be very competent and very effective in their courtroom. The second thing that I think, or the third thing that I might mention is that when we look at judges that are retired and sit by as a visiting judge assigned by the Supreme Court of the state of Ohio, we saw that the late Chief Justice Moyer assigned judges even after and up until they were 80. The new Chief Justice, Justice O'Connor, now has indicated that she will continue to appoint judges even after their 80th birthday, even as long as they were competent and are requested to serve as a sitting or visiting judge in any jurisdiction. I think it's an indication that if the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court considers an individual very competent to sit as a judge, as a visiting judge, and going into a courtroom and handling the large docket that the judges now are faced in our communities, that it's an indication that she is fully aware of the continued competency of individuals and effectiveness of individuals even after the age of 70 or even 75, and up until they become not competent to sit as a visiting judge, no matter what the age limit is. I sort of joked when I spoke in favor of this House Joint Resolution 1 on the floor of Representatives, indicating that if it passed as an issue, when it ultimately got to the voters, that I would be able to sit as a visiting, or I would be able to go back. But I assured my fellow legislatures that I'm not interested in going back as a judge. I'm enjoying this job way too much. And but it's an interesting observation that I made, that I can continue to pass laws no matter what my age, whether it be 70, 80, 90, or whatever, whether I am fully within my capacity to do so as long as the electorate elected me, but I wouldn't be competent to interpret what the laws say. So I would suggest that it's inconsistent to have an age limitation at all, but at least if we do set it, we should move the age limitation for the judiciary from 70 to 75, and that's why I supported House Joint Resolution 1.